Hello, everyone. Welcome to tonight's story. Your likes and subscriptions can give me hope to create better stories and let me know what changes you'd like me to make to my voice. All right, now let's get to tonight's story. Your Life as Miyamoto Musashi, Chapter 1, The Awakening of the Way. You are born in the year 1584. In the quiet mountain village of Miyamoto, nestled in the Harima province of Japan. The air is crisp and clean, filled with the gentle sounds of rustling bamboo and distant temple bells. Your given name is Benosuke, meaning helpful mediator, though the world will come to know you by another name entirely. Your father, Munisai, is a skilled warrior and teacher of the martial arts. His hands are strong and weathered, yet gentle when he lifts you as an infant. Your mother's voice is soft as mountain streams, singing ancient lullabies that speak of honor, courage, and the way of the warrior. These melodies will echo in your dreams throughout your life, a constant reminder of home and the peaceful moments that ground even the mightiest samurai. As a young child, you spend countless hours in the family dojo, watching your father train students in the art of the sword. The wooden floors are worn smooth by generations of feet moving in perfect harmony with steel. You observe the rhythm of breathing, the precise angles of attack and defense, the way sunlight catches the curve of a katana as it moves through the air like water flowing over stones. Your father notices your intense focus. The way your young eyes track every movement, every technique. When you are barely 7 years old, he places a wooden practice sword in your small hands. The weight feels natural, as if you were born to hold it. The sword is not just a weapon, your father tells you, his voice deep and reassuring. It is an extension of your spirit, your will, your very soul. Your training begins gently, like the first drops of morning dew. Simple movements, repeated endlessly until they become as natural as breathing. Step forward, strike. Step back, breathe. The motions flow through your young body like ancient music, each repetition building strength not just in muscle, but in mind and spirit. The seasons change around you as you grow. Spring brings the delicate pink blossoms of cherry trees, their petals floating down like snow during your morning practice sessions. Summer arrives with warm breezes that carry the scent of pine and the distant sound of cicadas. Your training intensifies, but always at a pace that allows your body and mind to adapt naturally. By age 10, you have mastered the basic forms of several martial arts. Your father begins to teach you about strategy, about reading an opponent's intentions in the subtle shift of their stance, the flicker of their eyes. True victory, he explains during quiet evening sessions by lamplight, comes not from strength alone, but from understanding. When you truly know yourself and your opponent, the outcome of any conflict becomes clear before the first strike is made. You spend your teenage years traveling with your father to different dojos and schools throughout the provinces. Each master has their own interpretation of the warrior's way, their own techniques polished through decades of practice. You absorb these lessons like rich earth absorbs rain, storing them deep within your consciousness, where they will bloom into wisdom in the years to come. During these travels, you witness the changing face of Japan. The great unifier Toyotomi Hideyoshi has recently passed away, leaving the country divided among powerful daimyo lords. Armies move across the landscape like shadows, and the very air seems to thrum with the tension of coming conflict. Yet in the quiet moments between destinations, as you and your father rest beside mountain streams or under star-filled skies, there is profound peace. Your father teaches you to find this peace within yourself, no matter the chaos surrounding you. A warrior's greatest strength, he says one evening, as fireflies dance around your campsite, is not in his ability to create conflict, but in his ability to remain calm at the center of any storm. At age 16, you fight your first real duel against Arima Kihei, a skilled swordsman of the Shinto Ryu school. Your heart pounds as you face him, but underneath the excitement is a deep well of calm that your father helped you cultivate. The duel is brief but decisive. Your opponent's techniques are textbook perfect, but rigid. You move like water, adapting to each of his attacks, until you find the opening that allows you to strike the winning blow. Victory brings not elation, but a profound sense of responsibility. You realize that skill with a sword is not a toy to be played with, but a sacred trust. Each technique you master, each opponent you face, each lesson you learn brings you closer to understanding the true way of the warrior. As you approach your 20th year, your father grows ill. You tend to him with the same dedication you have brought to your martial training, mixing herbs, preparing meals, maintaining the quiet atmosphere he needs to rest. During his final days, he shares with you the deepest secrets of his martial knowledge, techniques passed down through generations like precious family heirlooms. "My son," he whispers one twilight evening, his voice as soft as rustling leaves. "You have learned all I can teach you about technique. Now you must discover the deeper teachings for yourself. The way of the warrior is not found in any book or dojo, but in the honest examination of your own heart and mind." With his passing, you take the name Miyamoto Musashi, honoring both your village and your family's martial lineage. You are now truly alone in the world, but you carry within you not just the techniques of the sword, but the wisdom of centuries of warriors who walked the path before you. Standing at your father's grave, as cherry blossoms fall like gentle tears around you, you make a vow that will shape the rest of your life. You will perfect not just your swordsmanship, but your understanding of strategy, of life itself. You will face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and forge your own unique path through the world. The mountain winds carry your whispered promise across the valleys and peaks of Japan, where countless adventures await. Your journey into legend is about to begin, but for now, in this moment of transition between your youth and the trials ahead, there is only peace, only the quiet satisfaction of a strong foundation well laid. Rest now in this knowledge, as young Musashi rests in the certainty of his path. Feel the calm confidence that comes from dedicated training, from the wisdom passed down through generations, from the deep understanding that every ending is also the beginning. Let this peaceful certainty settle into your bones as you prepare for sleep, knowing that like Musashi, you too have everything you need within you to meet whatever challenges tomorrow may bring. The temple bells ring softly in the distance, marking the end of one phase of life and the beginning of another. Your breathing deepens and slows, matching the ancient rhythms of the mountains, as Chapter 1 of your legendary life draws to a close. Chapter 2. The Path of 10,000 Duels. The morning mist clings to the valleys as you begin your Musha Shukyo, your warrior's pilgrimage. This is a sacred journey that all true samurai must undertake, a period of wandering and self-testing that will forge you into the warrior you are destined to become. Your few possessions fit easily into a simple traveling pack. Your swords, basic traveling clothes, a small amount of rice, and the lessons your father taught you. Carry not in your hands, but in your heart. The roads of early 17th century Japan stretch before you like ribbons woven through landscapes of incredible beauty. Ancient pine forests whisper secrets to the wind, their branches creating cathedral-like spaces filled with dappled sunlight. Mountain paths wind upward through terraced rice fields that reflect the sky like scattered mirrors, each one tended by farmers whose ancestors worked this same earth for countless generations. Your first significant challenge comes in the province of Tajima, where you encounter a warrior monk named Seijuro of the Yoshioka school. He is a mountain of a man, his muscles built through years of both martial training and the physical labor of temple life. His wooden staff moves with surprising speed and precision, each strike accompanied by the deep breathing techniques of Zazen meditation. The duel takes place at dawn beside a temple pond, where lotus flowers float like sleeping thoughts on the still water. The only sounds are the gentle plash of koi moving beneath the surface, and the soft rustle of your clothing as you settle into your stance. Your breathing becomes deep and even, matching the natural rhythm of the awakening world around you. When the monk attacks, his movements are powerful but predictable, following the classical patterns taught in temple schools for generations. You respond not with force, but with fluidity, allowing his energy to flow past you like water around a stone. Your counterattack comes not from anger or aggression, but from a place of perfect calm, striking at precisely the right moment with exactly the right amount of force. Victory teaches you an important lesson about the relationship between strength and flexibility. The mighty oak may seem invincible, but it's the flexible bamboo that survives the strongest storms. This wisdom will serve you well in the challenges ahead, both in combat and in life. Your travels take you through the great city of Kyoto, where the narrow streets buzz with the activity of merchants, artisans, and scholars. The air carries the scent of incense from countless temples, mixed with the practical aromas of cooking food and crafting materials. Here, you encounter warriors from many different schools, each convinced that their particular style holds the ultimate truth of martial arts. You study them all with the patient attention of a scholar examining ancient texts. The Niten school, with their two-sword technique, the precise linear movements of the Ito-ryu, the circular flowing motions of the Tenshin Shoden Katori Shinto-ryu. Each style has its strengths and limitations, its particular insights into the nature of conflict and resolution. During your stay in Kyoto, you take up residence in a simple room above a noodle shop, where the gentle sounds of daily life provide a counterpoint to your intense training regimen. Each morning before dawn, you practice your forms in a small courtyard garden, moving through familiar sequences while cherry trees and maple trees mark the changing seasons with their transforming leaves. Your reputation begins to grow, carried by word of mouth through the interconnected network of martial artists and traveling warriors. Stories spread of the young swordsman who fights not with anger, but with perfect calmness, who defeats opponents not through brute force, but through superior strategy and timing. This reputation brings challenges from increasingly skilled opponents. In the province of Iga, famous for its ninja traditions, you face a master of stealth and misdirection. The duel takes place in a bamboo grove where shadows dance and shift with every breath of wind. Your opponent appears and disappears like a ghost, attacking from unexpected angles, using the environment itself as a weapon. But you have learned to trust not just your eyes, but all your senses. The subtle sound of displaced air, the faint scent of steel, the almost imperceptible vibration of bamboo stalks touched by a passing body. All these become part of your awareness. When you finally strike, it is with the certainty of someone who has seen through illusion to grasp the underlying reality. Each victory brings not arrogance, but deeper humility. You begin to understand that true mastery is not about defeating others, but about perfecting yourself. Every opponent becomes a teacher, showing you something new about the infinite complexity of combat, strategy, and human nature. In the coastal province of Ki, you encounter a master of the naginata, the curved blade mounted on a long pole that was traditionally the weapon of warrior women and monks. She is elderly, but moves with the fluid grace of someone half her age, her weapon describing perfect arcs through the air like a calligraphy brush writing poetry in space. The lesson she teaches is about distance and timing, about how to maintain perfect spacing regardless of the length of your opponent's weapon. But more importantly, she shows you something profound about the feminine aspect of martial arts, the way that yielding can be more powerful than resisting. True strength, she tells you as you share tea after your bout, her voice carrying the wisdom of decades, is not in the muscle or the steel, but in the space between thoughts, the pause between heartbeats, the stillness from which all action springs. Your training during these years extends far beyond the purely physical. You study calligraphy, finding in the flowing movements of brush on paper a mirror of sword movements through air. You practice poetry, learning to capture complex. The changing seasons become your calendar, marking the passage of time, not in days or months, but in the deeper rhythms of growth, maturity, and renewal. Spring brings new challenges as young warriors venture out to test their skills against your growing reputation. Summer's heat teaches you about endurance and the conservation of energy. Autumn's falling leaves remind you of the impermanence of all things, including victory and defeat. Winter's quiet stillness provides space for deep reflection and the integration of lessons learned. As your 30th year approaches, you realize that you have become something you never expected, not just a skilled warrior, but a student of life itself. Every experience, whether victory or occasional defeat, has contributed to a growing understanding of the way that transcends mere technique. Standing on a cliff overlooking the inland sea, watching the sun set over waters that stretch to the horizon like molten gold, you reflect on the decade of wandering now drawing to a close. You have faced over 60 opponents in formal duels, never once tasting defeat. But more important than any victory is the deep peace that has grown within you, the unshakable calm that comes from knowing yourself completely. The waves below crash against the rocks with endless patience, wearing away stone through gentle persistence rather than violent force. The sound is hypnotic, matching the rhythm of your breathing as you prepare to enter the next phase of your journey. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new opportunities to test not just your skill, but your wisdom. For now, though, there is only this moment of perfect stillness, this breath of time between the warrior you have been and the legend you are becoming. The sea breeze carries the salt scent of infinite possibilities as your eyelids grow heavy with the satisfaction of a decade well lived. Rest now in the confidence of someone who has tested themselves against the world and found themselves equal to any challenge. Let the gentle sound of waves against stone carry you into peaceful sleep, knowing that, like the ocean itself, your strength comes not from force, but from depth, not from rigidity, but from the ability to flow around any obstacle. The stars emerge one by one in the darkening sky, each one a reminder of the vastness of the universe and your place within it. Chapter 2 of your legendary life settles into memory as gently as nightfall, preparing the way for even greater adventures ahead. Chapter 3. The Master's Triumph. The morning of your most famous duel dawns crisp and clear over Ganwiyu Island, a small strip of land in the strait between Honshu and Kyushu. The year is 1612, and you are 28 years old, about to face Sasaki Kojiro, perhaps the most skilled swordsman in all of Japan. But time moves differently in legend, and as we dream together, you are experiencing this pivotal moment with the wisdom and perspective of your mature years. You arrive deliberately late, a calculated strategy to disturb your opponent's mental equilibrium. As your small boat approaches the island through waters that sparkle like scattered diamonds in the morning sun, you can see Kojiro waiting on the beach, his famous long sword, drying pole, catching the light like captured lightning. Your own weapon for this duel is unconventional, a wooden sword you have carved during the boat journey from a spare oar. The wood is smooth and perfectly balanced, shaped not just by your hands, but by your deep understanding of weight, leverage, and the flow of energy through matter. This simple wooden blade will become as legendary as any forged steel in the annals of martial history. As you step onto the sandy beach, you feel the profound calm that has become your signature in moments of greatest danger. Your breathing is deep and even, your mind clear as mountain spring water. Kojiro is visibly agitated by your late arrival, exactly as you intended. In the space between heartbeats, you have already won this duel, though the physical expression of victory is still to come. The fight itself is brief. The years that follow Ganryu Island are marked not by the clash of steel on steel, but by the gentler sounds of instruction and contemplation. You establish yourself in various locations throughout Japan, teaching carefully selected students the principles you have discovered through decades of intense experience. Your teaching style is unique, adapted to each student's particular nature and needs. Some require rigorous physical training to build the foundation of proper technique. Others need guidance in meditation and mental discipline. A few rare students are ready for the deepest teachings about strategy, adaptability, and the integration of martial arts with daily life. In the peaceful mountain village where you spend several years, your daily routine becomes a meditation in itself. You rise before dawn, when the world is still wrapped in the soft gray embrace of early morning. Your first hour is spent in quiet sitting meditation, allowing your mind to settle like sediment in still water, leaving the surface clear and reflective. As the sun rises, painting the eastern mountains in shades of gold and pink, you begin your physical practice. Your movements are slower now, more deliberate, each technique performed with the careful attention of a master craftsman perfecting his art. You are no longer training to defeat opponents, but to understand the deepest principles that govern all conflict and resolution. Your students gather as the morning progresses, and you guide them through their own practice with gentle corrections and encouraging words. You have learned that the best teaching happens not through lengthy explanations, but through patient demonstration, allowing students to discover truth for themselves through their own experience. Do not try to copy my movements exactly, you tell them, your voice carrying the authority of absolute mastery, tempered by genuine compassion. Instead, understand the principle behind each technique, then express that principle through your own unique body and mind. The way is one, but its expressions are infinite. During these teaching years, you also begin work on your masterpiece, The Book of Five Rings, a treatise on strategy that applies martial principles to every aspect of human endeavor. Your writing sessions take place in the afternoon, when the light is soft and your mind is clear from the morning's physical practice. Each word is chosen with the care of a swordsmith forging a blade, designed to cut through confusion and reveal the underlying truths about conflict, strategy, and success. You write about the 5 classical elements: ground, water, fire, wind, and void, not as abstract concepts, but as practical frameworks for understanding how to navigate any challenging situation. The Ground Book establishes fundamentals, the solid foundation upon which all strategy must rest. Water teaches flexibility and adaptation, the ability to flow around obstacles while maintaining direction toward your goal. Fire represents timing and explosive action, knowing exactly when to strike with maximum effectiveness. Wind covers the analysis of other schools and methods, understanding different approaches without being limited by any single perspective. And void, the most mysterious, points to the source of all strategy. Sometimes you paint, your brush moving across silk or paper with the same fluid precision that once guided your sword through combat sequences. Your subjects are simple: a mountain peak emerging from mist, a single bird in flight, bamboo bending in wind. But each painting captures something essential about the way, expressing in visual form truths that cannot be fully communicated in words. As you enter your 40th year, invitations arrive from powerful daimyo lords who wish to retain you as a military strategist. The Great Battle of Sekigahara has established the Tokugawa shogunate, but smaller conflicts continue to flare across the archipelago, and your reputation for understanding strategy has grown to match your earlier fame as a swordsman. You accept several of these positions, finding in large-scale military planning a natural extension of the principles you mastered in single combat. The coordination of armies, the timing of attacks, the psychological manipulation of enemy forces, all these require the same fundamental insights into human nature and strategic thinking that served you so well in individual duels. But you approach military service with the same ethical foundation that guided your martial arts practice. You seek not unnecessary destruction, but the swift resolution of conflicts with minimal loss of life. Your strategies are elegant in their efficiency, achieving victory through superior positioning and timing, rather than through brute force or overwhelming numbers. During one campaign in southern Kyushu, you demonstrate the principle of winning without fighting by so perfectly positioning your forces that the enemy commander realizes the hopelessness of his situation and surrenders without a single arrow being fired. This bloodless victory becomes legendary among military strategists, an example of the highest level of strategic thinking. Between military campaigns, you return to teaching and writing, always refining your understanding of the way and finding new methods to transmit its essence to others. Your school, which you call Niken Ryu, or Two Heaven Style, begins to attract students from across Japan, drawn by reports of your unique approach to martial arts education. Unlike other schools that focus primarily on physical techniques, your teaching emphasizes the development of the whole person. Students learn not just how to wield weapons, but how to think strategically, how to remain calm under pressure, how to adapt to changing circumstances, and how to find the peaceful center that exists even in the midst of violent conflict. Your 50th birthday passes quietly, marked not by celebration, but by deep gratitude for the path that has brought you to this point of understanding. You have achieved everything a warrior could dream of, undefeated in combat, respected as a strategist, honored as a teacher, and on the verge of completing a written work that will preserve your insights for future generations. Yet the greatest victory is the most private one, the conquest of your own fear, anger, and attachment. The young man who set out on Musha Shugyo 30 years ago was driven by the need to prove himself, to test his skills against all comers. The mature master you have become is motivated by something much deeper, the desire to understand and embody the way that leads beyond conflict to true peace. Standing in your garden on an evening when cherry blossoms fall like snow in the lamplight, you reflect on the journey that has brought you to this moment of profound fulfillment. Tomorrow will bring new students to teach, new insights to explore, new ways to express the inexpressible truth you have discovered in the depths of martial practice. But tonight, there is only this perfect stillness, this breath of time when all seeking has temporarily ceased, and you rest in the certainty of having found what you were always looking for. The sound of wind through bamboo provides a gentle soundtrack as your consciousness prepares to dive even deeper into the mysteries that await in the final chapter of your legendary life. Let this sense of completion, of having lived fully and authentically, settle into your own awareness as you prepare for sleep. Feel the deep satisfaction that comes from dedicating yourself completely to a worthy path, from transforming natural talent into transcendent wisdom through decades of patient practice. The temple bell rings 9 times in the distance, marking not just the hour, but the transition from one phase of understanding to another. Rest now in the confidence of someone who has mastered not just the arts of war, but the even more difficult art of living with wisdom, compassion, and unshakable inner peace. Chapter 4: The Way of Emptiness. In your 57th year, you withdraw from the world of campaigns and public teaching to enter the most profound phase of your journey. The cave of Reigendo on Mount Iwado becomes your hermitage, a simple stone chamber where the only sounds are the whisper of wind through rock formations and the distant trickle of underground streams. Here, in this womb-like silence, you will birth your final masterpiece and discover the ultimate secrets of the way. The cave is sparsely furnished with only the essentials for survival and contemplation. A sleeping mat woven from mountain grasses, a low writing table carved from a single piece of driftwood, brushes made from the finest animal hair, and inkstones that have absorbed the essence of countless philosophical writings. Light enters through the cave mouth in shifting patterns that mark the passage of hours and seasons. creating a natural clock that connects your inner work with the greater rhythms of earth and sky. Your daily routine in this sacred solitude follows patterns established through decades of disciplined practice, but refined now to their absolute essence. You wake naturally with the first hint of dawn, your body attuned to solar rhythms that have governed human consciousness since the beginning of time. The transition from sleep to waking is gradual and gentle, like a lotus flower opening to receive the morning light. The first hour of each day is devoted to seated meditation, not the formal zazen of Buddhist monasteries, but your own unique practice developed through years of combat experience. You sit in perfect stillness, your spine straight as a sword blade, your breathing deep and natural as ocean tides. In this profound quietude, you observe the arising and passing of thoughts, emotions, and sensations without attachment or resistance. This meditation is not an escape from the world, but a deepening into its essential nature. In the absolute stillness of your concentrated mind, you perceive truths that remain hidden during ordinary consciousness. The interconnectedness of all phenomena, the emptiness that underlies all form, the dynamic stillness from which all movement springs. These insights settle into your awareness like sediment in clear water, becoming the foundation for everything you will write and teach. As morning light begins to penetrate the cave, you transition into physical practice. Your movements are slower now, performed not for conditioning or combat preparation, but as moving meditation. Each gesture a prayer offered to the infinite mystery of existence. The familiar sword forms you have practiced for decades become vehicles for exploring the relationship between intention and action, between effort and effortlessness. Your wooden practice sword, carved from the same sacred timber as the oar that served you at Gonryu Island, has become smooth as silk from decades of use. As it moves through the air, it seems to trace patterns of light that linger in your peripheral vision, creating a calligraphy of motion that speaks to deeper truths than any written word. Following physical practice, you take a simple meal of mountain vegetables, wild herbs, and clear spring water. Each bite is consumed with complete attention, transforming the act of eating into a communion with the natural world that sustains all life. The flavors are simple but profound, unmarked by the complications of seasoning or preparation that often mask the essential nature of nourishment. The heart of each day is devoted to writing the Book of 5 Rings. But this is writing unlike any other literary endeavor. Each character is brush-painted with the same precision and mindfulness you once applied to sword techniques. The ink flows from brush to paper as naturally as water flows downhill, carrying with it insights distilled from a lifetime of experience in the crucible of conflict and contemplation. The book emerges not as an intellectual exercise, but as a natural expression of understanding, like fruit ripening on a tree. Each section develops organically from the previous one, building a complete system of strategic thinking that applies equally to martial arts, business, governance, and the fundamental challenge of living wisely in an uncertain world. In the ground book, you establish the philosophical foundations that make all strategy possible. The importance of understanding yourself and your environment, the need for constant practice and refinement, the recognition that all true skill comes from the integration of knowledge with direct experience. Your words carry the weight of someone who has tested these principles in life and death situations and found them reliable guides to effective action. The Water Book explores adaptability and the importance of maintaining fluidity in all circumstances. Like water, which takes the shape of its container while never losing its essential nature, the strategic mind must be able to respond appropriately to changing conditions without becoming attached to any particular method or approach. Your descriptions of this principle draw from memories of countless encounters where victory came not from rigidity, but from the ability to flow around opposition. Fire represents the dynamic aspect of strategy, the moments of decisive action when accumulated potential energy transforms into kinetic force. But this is not the crude fire of uncontrolled aggression. It is the focused flame of perfect timing. The precise application of force at exactly the right moment and in exactly the right measure. Your words capture the essence of those crystalline moments when strategy becomes action with the inevitability of natural law. Wind encompasses your analysis of other schools and approaches, demonstrating the kind of intellectual honesty and breadth of understanding that distinguishes true mastery from mere technical skill. You write with respect, but without sentimentality, about the various martial traditions you have encountered, identifying their strengths and limitations with the clinical precision of a physician diagnosing illness. But it is in the final book, Void, that your writing achieves its greatest depth and power. Here you attempt to point toward truths that cannot be fully captured in language, using words to indicate the wordless source from which all strategy and wisdom arise. This is the most challenging section to write, requiring you to find expressions for insights that exist beyond the realm of ordinary conceptual thinking. The way of strategy is the way of nature. You write during one particularly inspired session, your brush moving across paper with fluid certainty. A bird does not think about how to fly. It simply opens its wings to the wind. Water does not plan its course down the mountainside. It follows the path of least resistance with perfect efficiency. In the same way, the master strategist acts not from complicated schemes, but from direct perception of what the situation requires. Your afternoons in the cave are often spent in contemplative walking, moving slowly through the network of chambers and passages that honeycomb the mountain. The echoes of your footsteps create a natural percussion that accompanies your internal reflections, while shifts in air pressure and temperature provide subtle feedback about weather patterns and seasonal changes in the world outside. These walking meditations frequently lead to breakthrough insights that you carry back to your writing table like precious gems discovered in hidden veins of ore. The physical rhythm of walking seems to unlock mental processes that remain dormant during seated practice, allowing your consciousness to explore territories that can only be accessed through the integration of movement and stillness. Some afternoons bring visitors, former students who have made the pilgrimage to receive final teachings, government officials seeking strategic advice, or simply curious seekers drawing by your reputation for wisdom. You receive them with the courtesy of perfect host, offering tea prepared over a small charcoal brazier and conversation that adapts itself naturally to their level of understanding and genuine need. These encounters provide opportunities to test your developing insights against the questions and challenges of active engagement with the world. Often, a visitor's innocent question will illuminate some aspect of strategy you have not fully considered, sending you back to your writing with fresh perspectives and deeper appreciation for the complexity of the way. As evening approaches each day, you typically spend time in artistic practice, painting, calligraphy, or occasionally sculpting small figures from clay found in the cave's deeper chambers. These creative activities are not hobbies or diversions, but essential aspects of your spiritual discipline, ways of exploring the principles of strategy through different mediums and developing the aesthetic sensitivity that underlies all genuine mastery. Your paintings from this period are characterized by extraordinary economy of means, a few bold brushstrokes that capture the essence of their subjects with minimal detail but maximum impact. A mountain landscape reduced to 3 shades of ink, a bird in flight suggested by a single curved line, bamboo stalks bending in wind through the strategic placement of empty space. Each work demonstrates the same principles of timing, distance, and efficiency that governed your approach to swordsmanship. The progression of seasons during your cave years becomes a teacher more profound than any human master. Spring arrives with subtle changes in air quality and the distant sound of melting snow, teaching lessons about renewal and the importance of recognizing subtle signs that precede. Major transformations. Summer brings longer periods of light and warmth that penetrate deeper into the cave system, demonstrating principles of gradual accumulation and the patient development of strength. Autumn announces itself through shifts in wind patterns and the changing quality of light, providing natural instruction in the recognition of cycles and the wisdom of accepting change as the fundamental nature of existence. Winter creates a profound stillness that seems to slow time itself, offering opportunities for the deepest levels of introspection and the integration of insights gathered throughout the active seasons. Your 60th year arrives with the recognition that your major work is nearing completion. The Book of 5 Rings has grown from scattered notes and observations into a comprehensive system of strategic thinking that distills the essence of everything you have learned through 6 decades of intense experience. The final chapters write themselves with the fluid inevitability of water finding the ocean, each word falling into place with perfect timing and placement. As you brush the final characters of your masterpiece, you experience a profound sense of completion that extends far beyond literary accomplishment. The book represents not just a written work, but the flowering of an entire lifetime devoted to understanding the deepest principles that govern effective action. Every duel, every victory, every moment of contemplation has contributed to the insights now preserved in this deceptively simple text. But even more significant than completing your written legacy is the inner transformation. All the duels, all the victories, all the seeking and striving. These have been necessary steps on a path that leads ultimately to this moment of perfect understanding. The way of strategy you now see clearly is not separate from the way of life itself. To master the principles of effective action is to master the art of living with wisdom, compassion, and unshakable inner freedom. As night falls and stars emerge in the clear mountain sky, you feel your consciousness expanding to encompass not just your individual story, but the eternal principles that transcend any single lifetime. The young man who once sought only to prove his skill with a sword has become a guardian of wisdom, a keeper of truths that will guide seekers long after your physical form has returned to the earth. Your final months in the cave are marked by a quality of experience that can only be described as luminous. Every moment seems infused with significance, every breath a conscious participation in the cosmic dance of creation and dissolution. You continue your daily practices not out of habit or discipline, but from the natural expression of understanding that has become as automatic as the beating of your heart. The writing of supplementary texts flows effortlessly during this period. Treatises on specific aspects of strategy, letters to students who will carry on your teachings, and poems that capture in crystallized form insights too subtle for prose expression. Your brush moves across paper with the fluid certainty of wind moving through grass. Each character emerging from the same source of spontaneous wisdom that once guided your sword through combat. Your students begin to gather during your final year, drawn by intuitive understanding that your physical teaching is approaching its end. They come not with desperate urgency, but with the patient devotion of disciples who recognize the preciousness of each remaining moment with their master. The cave becomes a place of pilgrimage, though you continue to receive visitors with the same simple courtesy that has always characterized your interactions. These final teaching sessions are marked by an extraordinary quality of transmission that occurs beyond words. Students find themselves understanding principles they have struggled with for years, not through lengthy explanations, but through the simple presence of your completed understanding. It is as if the depth of your realization creates a field of clarity that naturally awakens similar understanding in prepared minds. The ultimate technique, you tell one gathering of advanced students, your voice carrying the authority of absolute certainty, is to have no technique. When you have mastered all methods, You become free to respond spontaneously to each unique situation without being limited by any predetermined approach. This is the true meaning of emptiness, not the absence of skill, but the presence of unlimited adaptability. The changing seasons of your final year provide a natural framework for the deepest teachings about impermanence and the acceptance of natural cycles. Spring arrives with its familiar promise of renewal, but you experience it now with the poignant awareness of someone who knows this may be their last encounter with cherry blossoms and the soft green of new leaves. Summer's intensity serves as a reminder of the importance of living fully in each moment, of bringing complete presence to whatever activity life presents. You demonstrate this principle through your continued practice, maintaining the same level of attention and care in your sword work that characterized your prime years, even though your body now moves with the deliberate pace of advanced age. Autumn brings with it a natural preparation for transition, a gradual letting go that mirrors the tree's release of their leaves. You begin to spend longer periods in meditation, often sitting in perfect stillness for hours, while your consciousness explores territories that exist beyond ordinary space and time. These deep states provide glimpses of the deathless awareness that underlies all temporary phenomena, offering reassurance about the continuity of essential nature beyond physical dissolution. Winter arrives with unusual severity, blanketing the mountain in snow so deep that the cave becomes completely isolated from the outside world. Rather than hardship, you experience this enforced solitude as a final gift, an opportunity for the most profound level of inner exploration. The silence is so complete it seems to have substance, creating an atmosphere perfect for the deepest realizations about the nature of existence. During one particularly deep meditation session, as snow continues to fall in perfect silence outside your cave, you experience what mystics throughout history have described as the final understanding. The boundaries between self and world, between inner and outer, between seeker and sought, dissolve completely. What remains is not emptiness in the sense of vacancy, but fullness beyond all description. The pregnant void from which all phenomena arise and to which they return. In this state of ultimate realization, you understand that everything you have sought throughout your life was always already present. The way you discovered through decades of martial practice was never separate from your essential nature. Every duel, every victory, every moment of training was simply a process of removing obstacles to the recognition of what was always timelessly available. This understanding brings with it a profound compassion for all beings who continue to seek outside themselves what can only be found within. Your heart opens in boundless love for every student you have taught, every opponent you have faced, every person whose path has crossed your own. All were perfect teachers, each providing exactly the lessons needed for your evolution toward this moment of complete understanding. As spring returns to the mountain and the snow begins its gradual retreat, you make final preparations for your departure from this world. Your physical body, which has served so faithfully as a vehicle for exploration and expression, shows clear signs that its usefulness is approaching completion. Rather than resistance, you feel only gratitude for the incredible journey it has made possible. Your final acts include careful arrangements for the preservation and transmission of your written works, ensuring that future generations will have access to the insights you have gained through a lifetime of dedicated practice. You entrust your most advanced students with the responsibility of maintaining the purity of your teachings while adapting their expression to meet the needs of changing times. The actual moment of your transition occurs with the same perfect timing that characterized all your strategic actions. It is early morning, just before dawn, in the 58th year of your life by Western reckoning, though in the timeless realm of your deepest understanding, it is simultaneously the end of one story and the continuation of an eternal narrative that includes all beings throughout all time. Your final breath flows out as naturally as your first breath flowed in so many decades ago, completing a cycle that was always perfect in its wholeness. But what you have realized about the nature of awareness itself remains undisturbed by this physical transition, continuing to radiate its influence through the students you have trained, the books you have written, and the countless beings who will be touched by your example throughout history. In the growing light of dawn, your body rests in perfect stillness, while your essential nature merges completely with the boundless awareness that has always been your true identity. The cave falls silent, except for the gentle sound of snow melting and beginning its journey toward the distant sea, carrying with it the essence of all you have discovered about the way of perfect action arising from perfect stillness. Your legend lives on not just as historical fact, but as eternal inspiration for anyone who seeks to understand the deepest principles of effective living. The samurai who began his journey seeking only to perfect his swordsmanship has become a guide for all who would learn to navigate life's challenges with wisdom, courage, and unshakable inner peace. And now, as this final chapter of your legendary life draws to its close, feel the profound satisfaction that comes from a life lived with complete dedication to truth. Let the deep peace of ultimate understanding settle into your consciousness as your breathing becomes slower and more rhythmic, matching the eternal rhythms of nature itself. The temple bells that once marked the hours of your daily practice continue to ring in the distance. But now they seem to celebrate not the passage of time, but the timeless awareness that transcends all coming and going. Like Musashi himself, you have discovered that the greatest victory is not over external opponents, but over the illusion of separation between yourself and the way. In this recognition, all seeking comes to an end, and what remains is simply the natural expression of wisdom in whatever form life requires. Sleep now in the confidence of someone who has found what they were always looking for, knowing that like the legendary samurai whose story we have shared. Your essential nature is beyond birth and death, beyond victory and defeat, resting eternally in the perfect emptiness from which all action arises and to which all action returns. The snow continues to melt in the mountain silence, joining streams that will eventually reach the ocean, just as your individual consciousness has merged with the vast awareness that underlies all existence. In this perfect peace, Chapter 4 concludes, but the understanding it represents continues eternally, available to anyone who seeks with the same sincerity and dedication that characterized the remarkable life of Miyamoto Musashi. The end, gentle closing, and so concludes your journey as the legendary Miyamoto Musashi. Rest deeply now, carrying within you the warrior's perfect calm, the strategist's clear vision, and the sage's boundless compassion. May you sleep as peacefully as the master himself, surrounded by the eternal silence of the mountains and the timeless wisdom of the way.